I want to talk to you about why polished corporate videos don't land in stores.
When it comes to training videos on the floor, one of my pet peeves is they act like every client wants the same level of service.
Let's say we are a corporate retailer and we're thinking, we don't have a culture video right now. It would be a cool thing. Who do you think should be in it? Do you want to see the CEO?
No,
Who do you want to see?
I want to see employees, real employees. If it is an executive reading from a thing just on video, why? You're thinking the video adds some credibility, it adds some realness, it adds a human. Thing though is only if you get the right human to do it.
In a whole bunch of episodes we've already recorded, there's been an underlying thing that's come up multiple times, whether we're talking about communications or onboarding or change management or culture shifts, anything like that. Usually the idea of videos, corporate videos pops up. And usually the sentiment that I'm reading from you is boo. So I think it would be really interesting to focus on that specifically because it is such a common go-to way to communicate various things for large corporate departments. So I want to talk to you about why polished corporate videos don't land in stores, if they don't, and what to do instead. So the first thing, a corporate invests heavily, and I mean time and big money in polished videos, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for what might reach you as like a 1 to 5 minute video. You know what I mean? Like the executives walking down the hallway, they're at that one place in their corporate office that has that beautiful branded mural, right? Like top of the stairs, whatever it is. The perfect lighting, and the intention is good. It's I want to inspire. I want some FaceTime. I want to connect, and I need to do that in some sort of scalable way. If I have hundreds, maybe thousands of stores, and so I don't want to focus on, like, we're not saying videos are bad. Videos are a great medium in a lot of ways. But why did these types of videos fail to create belief?
Yeah, I will say, just to start out this anecdotally,
Yeah.
last night, as like me and my husband were going to bed, I said, "Oh, he asked me to do something today, around the house," and I said, "Yeah, I can totally do that. I will get to it after I do, got to record the podcast tomorrow."
Mm.
And he was like, "Oh, what's the topic?" And I was like, "It's something Becky ran by me, and I'm very interested, but I'm not sure." And this is just me being honest. Like, I'm really passionate about it. Becky's really passionate about it. I'm curious, like, do people in retail care? Is this like a topic that's going to land with people, especially in stores? And I look at him and I go, we're just talking about like corporate videos and how like much money is spent and how polished they are. Before I even finish, she goes, "Oh." Literally, that was his face. And he goes, "If I had to watch another corporate video," and then he went on a whole like rant about corporate videos, and I go, "Oh, good. This is a topic worth discussing." So, just
Love it.
anecdotally, I just thought it was like so funny to get, because my husband is not. It's not that he's not emotive, but it's that when I talk to him about what we're recording,
Mm.
there's a lot of like, okay, yeah, interesting. Oh, yeah, definitely that topic should be discussed. It's almost never that visceral. So I was like, wow, 20 something episodes in, and this is the one where you're like, oh, finally a topic I can relate to.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
But I think, why they don't land, I think is like tricky, but I think overall, it's just how scripted they come across, or how, planned or rehearsed. I think even, and this is going to sound like an interesting take, but even videos that our like compliance issues, and I think companies are like, okay, compliance means serious topic, which means the video needs to be serious, which means like scripted. And, I was working at a company where when they talked, they had videos for not onboarding, but when you had to take, one of the e-learnings a lot of companies have e-learnings now, and a
Mhm.
lot of them have video attachments. And, it's going to sound like, I want to say this right up front of the episode, because I think if people are paying attention to our last episode and this episode, they might think that we're saying no matter what companies do, they're not doing it right.
Mhm.
Because training videos have been either AI in recent years, or overly scripted. And so I'm sure some people are like, oh my God, so what do Becky and Matt want over there? Can't do anything right. I just want a real video. I just want a real human.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be somewhat scripted or planned in a way, but I think even with a compliance issue, and I take an e-learning, and recently this has happened with like health and safety, and it's like some man in a suit with a tie sitting in front of a camera, clearly reading a prompt.
Yeah.
And he's like, hi, my name's James Johnson Jr. I'm the director of health and safety here at ABC Corp. Here at ABC Corp, we find health and safety to be paramount to your experience as our employee. Health and safety is important. Like, I could have read that. I could have read that. You didn't need to bring in the camera crew. You
Right.
didn't need to make that poor man who's clearly uncomfortable
Yes.
speaking like that to do that, because he's like, I'm the director of health and safety. Can I just do my job? Like, you could have either let me read that, or it could have been a voiceover, which would have been a lot cheaper.
Right.
Um, and then they'll sometimes, and then we get to the sort of like terrible acting or skits. And I think one of the things that I don't think that me or you have mentioned, or maybe we have and I'm forgetting, but I do think that there's like both a cultural and a generational
Hmm.
component to this, where 50 years ago, um, yeah, I'm going to go back that far. 50 years ago, it's 1975. I'm working in an office or a warehouse or a manufacturing facility. If there was like a training video and that's how it was, my access to media in 1975 is very different than my access to media in 2025.
Hmm.
So like I'm being inundated with TikToks and YouTubes. So media my ability to parse what is real, what is fake, who's giving me authenticity, who's giving vulnerability is so good. Like just in general, all of us, right? Like
Yeah.
we're able to be like, that TikTok creator is just fake. This TikTok creator is actually giving me vulnerability and realness, and that's why I gravitate towards them. And so when you're making these videos about even compliance things, it doesn't come across genuine or real or actually important to anyone, because again, that man looks like someone off camera is holding a gun to his head and he's about to hold up a newspaper to prove that he's been kidnapped today. um so it just doesn't come across real, so it doesn't land. So the thing that you're saying to me, we need you to take this health and safety very important,
Yeah.
like, I, 4 sentences, I'm zoning out.
Yeah. Yeah. Our like BS detectors are
Yeah.
razor sharp these days, super fast. I also think that's an interesting point too, because like to your point about being inundated by, all kinds of short form, especially video
Mm-hmm.
and various social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is our BS meter razor sharp, but like our attention spans
Mm-hmm.
for sitting through that kind of just intro and the pace of the cadence of it, even I feel like is like I'm getting physical anxiety. Thinking about like can I scrub through, like what are you saying, what is the thing that you're trying to tell me, just say the
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So authenticity is a huge one, and uh, that's a tough thing to do, and I get the thinking, right, because they need to communicate something to a huge amount of people. I think their thinking is, look, they don't have time to read, they don't have tons of time to read. Video is fun. Video internally, like for HR and stuff like that, still feels new.
Mm-hmm.
Like it hasn't been until like the last like few years, I think, that internal teams, internal comms, HR, like different internal corporate departments have had the budget or like the access to create video. And so it's still like a really fun, fresh, exciting idea for them. And so I think it's important to say, like, yeah, we're not saying don't make a video. That video is like an ineffective platform, although I think you need to have the conditions for them to be watched, obviously. And that needs to be said too, because we have a lot of creative partners who are in video production. We're not saying you shouldn't hire them, but leverage them to develop a concept that is real, that feels authentic, that is not you walking down your pretty corporate hallway with beautiful lighting and your company pin on your lapel while reading a script. So maybe it would help to get into specifics then, because I think there are some themes of when corporate departments would think, hey, let's make a video and drop 5 to 6 figures on something like this.
Mhm.
The first one that's coming to mind to me is a culture video. So something maybe that you would watch during your onboarding.
Yikes. Yeah.
Or, I mean, is onboarding pretty much the only time you would watch a culture video?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless something obviously like happened and then the company felt like they needed to like readdress culture.
Right.
But there wouldn't be like an e-learning. It would be just, yeah, your initial sort of onboarding.
Cool. Let's say we are a corporate retailer and we're thinking we don't have a culture video right now for our onboarding. It would be a cool thing. For one, who do you think should be in it? Do you want to see the CEO?
No,
Who do you want to see?
I want to see employees, you know,
Mm,
and real employees.
right.
And actually, I want to call out um, someone who did this really well, actually, which was Lush. All your Canadian friends will know them well, and you know we know them well here in America as well. And Lush did a really good job because the people in those videos were really employees, and there's actually a couple of them. So, fun fact: one of them was like the head like trainer. Her name's Erica. Um, when I met her at the yearly conference that we had in Scotland, I literally took a selfie with her because I joked with her that both me and my team were like big fans. We're like, I was like, you're like a celebrity. I was like, can I get a selfie? And she goes, of course. Because even though she was the head trainer, and you know, she doesn't work in stores anymore, she used to. She was so charismatic in those videos, so natural, so passionate, so excited that you would watch those videos and you were like, I want to learn, I want to be you, I want to learn everything about you, I want to know what you're saying. I looked forward to every video. I was like, "Ooh, is Erica doing it? Oh, I'm watching it."
Wow.
And part of that was she was just herself. I think that's a big part of it. Like she had long nails and lots of jewelry, and she's tattoos, and she's got like this cool like hair. Um, which just everything about her just screamed, "I'm just myself," and they just turned on a camera. Um, and so But other people in all the other training videos and like the culture video for Lush are all employees, some of whom other people have met. So it's not just that like they're employees. They're like employees who you're like, oh, that's not like an actor or someone who works in, you know, we didn't just find like the prettiest employee we could find in the Hollywood store near the, you know, corporate office.
Mm.
That's, you know, Dan. You've met Dan. Dan's now in inventory, but he used to be in stores when they made the video. And, you know, have you met Dan? So it was you know, having the people who actually like work the floor, know the culture, and can really, when the people who've done it are actually talking to you about culture, that feels like, oh, they're not faking it. They're just talking about their lived experience.
Yeah. So they saw, assuming they saw that in her and leveraged her relatability, her natural ability to speak to the camera. So I do think a lot of corporate retailers they do understand that they want to get away from stock video now and that they
Hmm.
want to feature real employees. So a step in the right direction, but often that looks like them slow-mo walking through the aisles. It's not a lot of dialogue. It's like it's shots, it's B-roll,
Hmm.
but we're not hearing them in a really candid way. I just wanted to call that out. It's like it's not just having your employees, It's letting them do the talking.
Well, I also think though that like your employees aren't actors, right? For the most
Yeah.
part. I mean, there might be someone who wants to be an actor, but they're not actors. They might not be performers. Not everyone can be Erica. And I think that there has to be sort of an okayness with, as long as the employee that did the dialogue or spoke is happy with their performance and happy with you, sending this out to everyone,
Yeah.
then you should be okay with it. Because I'm sure a lot of the reason there's so much B-roll is because when they're editing it, they're like, oh, that's like, that person's a little awkward.
Mhm.
We'll get them restocking the ketchup. Um,
Right.
and it's like, it's okay if they're a little awkward. If anything, that helps.
Hmm.
Kind of go to like, they're a real employee. They work here.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I guess we should like caveat you do actually have to have the culture to
Yeah,
like
well, yes. Well, otherwise, it's also going to be another gun to the head situation. Um,
exactly.
Here at ABC Corp, we have a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to see that video. Because then they're going to be like, how
Right.
much? Because then the question becomes like, how much do they pay this person? Um,
Right.
and the thing is, if I've had teams, I won't say where, but ask that about videos they've seen, like, who would volunteer to say this because it's not true?
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what I meant. So like, meet the moment too. If you're thinking about making a culture video because you think it's going to help your culture, improve your culture, make it better, probably not, unless you're
Mhm.
going to come at it from a very vulnerable, hey, we know our culture is where we want it to be right now. Here's our plan and how we'd
That
like
would
to
be,
co-create.
side note, that would
Yeah.
be an amazing video. That would
Right.
actually help your culture. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like the part for me that's really interesting. And we've had this conversation many times in many different podcast episodes
Mhm.
about different topics, but I'm going to keep saying it until some company does it. But the the movement and the moment it would lead to in an internal shift if a company actually just admitted that it wasn't where it wanted to be in a very real way. Like I can picture a video in my head of like a company wanting to do a culture shift and then having employees on camera basically being like, we were chosen to like uplift and change the culture internally, and here are some of the things we want to address, almost like a town hall type thing but on video. um if people saw even a tiny incremental change after that, they're going to be like, oh my god, they listened to those people. How
Mhm.
do I become one of those people? It just it feeds itself. And like, the video is nice, the posters are nice, all of that's nice.
Yeah.
But just being real and trying to fix something in a very real way, free, actually. Free
Right.
99, the best price.
Yeah, and that brings up another good point about the need for agility with videos. And again, a reason to avoid investing $100,000 in one culture video that you're hoping is going to be evergreen, and that you're hoping is
Mhm.
going to last 5, 10 years. Video is so accessible for all of us, and I wish like if you're going to go down that route, plan to update. Like find the people who are okay with doing it. Don't be like this is our shot. So we're going to make the video for the culture we wish we had because we only have this amount of money for this amount of time. Probably not going to land as effectively as you hoped. Okay, let's keep going. So other than culture videos, let's talk about change. So let's
Mhm.
say there is like let's say a massive new tech tool rolling out all the way to stores. Who How would video help you? Because what I think happens a lot is you're going to have a bunch of different executives from say like ops, maybe the CEO, maybe HR, depending on what the app is or what the tech is about, and they're going to tell you why this is so great. This is going to be amazing. This is going to revolutionize everything.
So I think when it comes to new tech rollout, they want the video because they want us to get buy-in before the tech comes,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. If the tech is so great, you don't need a video. We'll
Mm.
get it and we'll just be like, wow, the tech is great. Also, there's instructional videos sometimes that come out with new tech, which makes no sense because it's often on the tool that you're trying to use. What do you mean I'm launching a new iPad register, but to learn how to operate it, I need to watch a video on the iPad register? How is that helpful? So, like the thought the thought just isn't there
Yeah.
because and this is very unsexy, but when it comes to launching a new app or new tech, do you know what I find teams find the most helpful? There's some nerd somewhere, I'm about to say this, and they're about to like their whole existence is about to be justified. Is literally a page by page instructional guide. Paper, physical paper.
Yeah.
Like the the things that I found the most happy, and I'll give you an example. Like when companies have a scheduling app,
Hmm.
sometimes it's overly convoluted to like get the scheduling app because it has like a weird name in the app store. It has nothing to do with your company. It's like, work LLC dash two. And then you have to download it, obviously, and then maybe you have to scan a QR code, and then there's like a password, and then there's like they want you to set up two-factor authentication, and then there's all these steps just so that they can get their schedule because it's so easy. There's an app. But I find that those things are adopted more regularly when there really is just like a one page or two page, depending on the tech, like literal piece of paper that's like here, QR code, this, then step three, then step four. Right now, I work somewhere where we also have like, if you're a manager, there's like the Authenticator app, but there's like a specific one that we use.
Yeah.
And so when you first start to get stuff on your phone, it's like really overly complicated. Like it's quite annoying.
Yeah.
And I found that those guides are the things that are the most helpful for me and everyone else. It wouldn't be a video. I don't care about the video. And I think when it comes to new tech adoption, we don't need a video, someone being like, someone badly acting, because it's usually not an employee. It's like a bad actor you hired. And they're like looking at the camera. They've got like an old, like IBM big desktop thing on their register. And they're like, I used to be so sad when I had to punch in the code for things. And then it's like transition. There's like magical music. Do, 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 do. And they're like, and now I have an iPad and it's so easy to ring up customers. Hey, Becky, don't you love the new registers we have? They're fun. They're coming to your store soon.
Right.
We see that and we laugh. And because the thing is I get that here's the thing. Because I
Mhm.
want to, I want to express that I understand sort of the corporate side a little bit.
Right.
I know that to get that register change, because I've actually been involved in two register changes now.
Okay.
Like from old tech to new tech, I understand that it took millions of dollars and an excessive amount of planning in the back end to get all of that historical data, all those transactions from the
Mm.
old to the new. Like it took so much work of a lot of different cross functional teams from merchandising, inventory allocations, pricing, all of those teams to make all of, tech, all of it happen. I understand that. And now you're like, we want stores to understand how exciting this really is because that's like worth it. And what I hear when I think about that is ego.
Mm.
Because part of it for me is that's your job. You want
Right.
stores to clap for you. I mean, that's like us being like, I rang up a customer today. Like,
Right.
that's the job. Like, I ran Black Friday today. That's the job. And so I think part of it is that. But the other part of it goes back to something we mentioned a couple of episodes ago. I cannot recall which one, but where we talked about corporate communicating when they're working on a change behind the scene, even when it's imperfect, even when it's not ready.
Right.
And if you had been communicating that all along in some sort of newsletter or intranet or portal, hey, it's not coming for 18 months, but we're working on new registers. And
Right.
then they give an update 12 months away. Here's what, honestly, you know, it'll be fun. You know what video I want now that we're talking about it? I
What's that?
want the video of a team in a boardroom, maybe even discussing all of the intricacies of, you know, I'm picturing again, I'm picturing a board meeting, or not even not a board meeting, a meeting in a
Hmm.
boardroom with like a dry erase board, and there's, you know, the heads of all these cross-functional teams, and they're like, hey, but the historical data, did we figure out whether the new gift cards are going to work on the old system, while
Right.
half the stores still have the old system, half the stores have the new? What do we have to do for that? Do we have to give them what data file do they need to make that work? Show me that video, 30 seconds. Doesn't
Right.
need to be, you know, produced in the intranet. This is where we are with the new registers. Now you've built in all of this like communication over months and months and months
Right.
of what's happening. And here's the thing, the excitement is building naturally. You can still use your videos, but the excitement is actually really organic. And I'm like, oh my God, they're like, it's happening. They're finally getting rid of these 1985 IBM sitting on my countertop. Real thing that happened to me, by the way. Like we had really, it wasn't 85. It was like mid 90s computers we were working on. And they got changed in 2017 to iPads. And so, but it's like, had that back story been going,
Yeah.
then you do the big announcement, right? Now you're like, because this is usually how it works with things like that. We've attached an Excel file. You'll find your store. Next to your store, you'll see the installation date, blah, blah, blah. Like, because
Yeah.
obviously you can't go live in every store. You know, they do it in waves.
Right.
And that's where you go, oh my God, we're finally getting them. The excitement is there. Yeah, no video required. Just the email with when I'm getting the thing that you've been building slowly in my mind. So that to me is how you do it, and do it with video in a way that actually builds excitement.
I mean, it's such a great point because it solves so many problems. Like it keeps stores aware that you know their problems are your problems,
Mm-hmm.
that you're working to solve store problems. And to your point of like, you know, a whiteboard or something like that, if on that whiteboard are store centric, store relevant problems that you are considering while you make a decision about how to solve or which tech to buy, that's so much more buy-in than, you know, the CEO or the VP of ops being like, we've heard you. You know, come like when you're a month away from rollout. And I love that point too about like don't oversell the magic of technology. Chances are if you're rolling out an app like this, you're probably a little late to the party, and like all of a sudden something being mobile friendly is not something to highlight in 2026.
Well, and that's the interesting part too, is during these rollouts, there's always at least one person on my team, but usually more than one,
Yeah.
who's like, but did they fix the issue we have with,
Right.
you know, whatever register issue you used to have? And let's say for a fact, I know that they have fixed that issue. I'm like, yeah, they did fix it. Isn't that exciting? They'll look
Mhm.
at me and they'll go, I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm.
Because they don't trust that corporate has an understanding of what the day to day is like. So
Yeah.
the excitement video, again, we've talked about this, can also be like, there can be like almost like a backlash to it.
Mm.
But again, if you're showing that behind the scenes thing of like, really, there's someone trying to solve this problem for you, again, I think you fix that issue of having to like artificially create excitement.
Yeah, you don't have to tell them the why. Because I think
Mhm.
that's the role of a lot of these videos too, is like, here's why we're doing this. Now, you know, now you'll be able to do this, and this is going to be simplified. But stores know what their problems are.
Mhm.
Helpful. I love that solution. And it is like I wish it's something that a lot of companies would take on with all of their comms approach. Like
Mhm.
build it together. You know, keep people in the loop while you're building instead of announcing. Because how amazing is that too for the people who are working years
Mhm.
on launching this thing? The recognition, because like even something like someone trying to change packaging for merchandising or make it more sustainable or something like that, sometimes that takes a really long time and a lot of different considerations. And it ends up being, you know, one post on an intranet. or
Hmm.
like one line item on the store newsletter or something like that. Okay, I have another example. How about like a thank you to stores? Like, let's say you had a really great year or you achieved some sort of sales goal or other kind of goal, and the company wants to say, like, this is amazing. We should somehow like how do we update stores that we've done this and that we're so happy about this goal and say thank you? For one, who do you want to see? Do you want to see the CEO then?
Let me just make this real clear.
Okay.
The only time I want to see a CEO in a video is when like a hard choice has to be made, and that video is what we need to feel like there is leadership at the helm. So like moments during COVID come to mind. Um, Moments where the economy is uncertain, like hard moments. That's where I expect the CEO to show up. You think I care about you interrupting your like yacht trip in Italy to have to do a thank you video? I mean, you might as well just like have it on the yacht and being like, thanks everybody, because I get to do this because you do that. Like, I don't want to see the CEO on a thank you video, and I don't want to say anything. They don't get to be a part of anything positive communication wise because that's not really good either. But I do think that they should be there for the hard moments. That's your job, right? Like,
Mm,
it's your job to show up in the hard moments and communicate to us that we've got this. We're going to be okay. You're making great decisions, and we feel safe and secure in what's happening with the brand. And too many times those conversations are left to some head of HR or something who get thrown under the bus. And there is no love lost between me and HR, but I do feel bad in those moments because I'm like, this is not their job to clean up your mess or to like make us feel good about whatever. This
mhm.
should be the CEO's job. So I think when it comes to a thank you video, I don't know anyone in retail at any level who wants a thank you video from anyone. There's no one in that video that's gonna make us feel thanked. Because what are you gonna put in the video? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, is it just thank
Yeah.
you? Because again, that could be an email, and it's like you spent 10 grand on a thank you video. And I
Yeah.
know that like most employees don't understand that that's the cost, but people just by nature are, I don't want to say selfish, that's not the right word, but they think of their own bubble, right?
Hmm.
So you're sending out a thank you video, and maybe it was great, and maybe you did even reward them with something, and you want to announce it, and you want the credit almost like, and we're
Right.
announcing that you get whatever, everyone gets a gift basket, whatever. But here's the thing: every store has its own little issues, and when you release something like that, all that comes to mind is their little issues. Their HVAC that doesn't work,
Right.
the back room door that doesn't shut right, so people have slammed their fingers on it multiple times. The freezer that they can't put ice cream in anymore, and they have to use basically as a fridge because they put in a work order and people have ignored it. Like, those are the things people think because they go, if you really were thankful, if you really appreciated my work, I wouldn't go into the break room to sit on my break and it wouldn't be, freezing in there because we haven't fixed the heat yet. Um, or we just are like, well, the heating system's old and it's on the roof and we can't, like, that's how I would feel thanked.
Right.
So now, if you're going to have a thank you video where you're going to go, as a token of our appreciation, every work order that's currently in the system, we commit is going to be fixed in the next 90 days. Because, and this is a topic for another podcast, but I think that facilities issues and maintenance issues are not appreciated or treated like the morale winner or killer that they are. We
Hmm.
treat it like it's like this boring side thing because that's like And honestly, shout out to maintenance teams who are like on top of it, because like even though you do a lot of invisible work, it's some of the most important work in retail. Because in my own career, some of my biggest frustrations have been things like that companies just didn't prioritize because they didn't think it was important. I'm talking to you, Old Navy. I bet you that store in Saugus, Massachusetts, still hot as hell in the summer. Um, it was like 85 degrees some days. And they were like,
Yeah.
well, the mall owns it and blah, blah, blah. And I remember looking at our regional Brian and being like, so no one can go to this mall and be like, we are a $10 billion company. And if you don't figure this out, we won't be in your little podunk sad mall. Um,
Right.
use some leverage. You'll use leverage for anything else you want on the earth to get better manufacturing costs. I'm going on a tangent here, but all of this to say, that's what people think of when you thank them. They think of all the things you still haven't fixed that are just boring. They're not even thinking about the pizza party or the ice cream party. They're thinking about all the annoying things that they do in their day that you don't care about.
Yeah, I hear you. What about though, because honestly, I think your average video for something like this, let's say there's $20,000
Mm-hmm.
and and their corporate department is like, we have $20,000 to communicate that we've achieved this thing and we want to both let stores know and we want to say like thank you for the role you played in this. Let's say we have 500 stores. How do we spread that budget? Obviously, we probably can't invest, what's that math there? What did I say? $20,000?
40
Man.
bucks.
Right. Not going to spread that far, right?
Mhm.
Is what I'm saying across all of these stores. There's also the fact that like that seems so sad. You know what I mean? Like that almost seems like some like I don't know, Oliver Twists type.
Well, so that's the thing though. I think that so many of these things are thought of as money. So I have two thoughts,
Hmm.
two very different thoughts. My second thought is about if they really want to do the video. So I'll get to your answer.
Okay.
The first thought though is if you have $20,000 to say thank you, maybe you just write a letter and save the 20,000 for something else and just put it
Uh-huh.
in the bank or put it in another fund for a later day. You don't actually have to split it up, and it is $40. Yeah. Um, you don't actually have to give every store $40 and be like, here's two pizzas. And if you have more than, well, what are there, 8 slices of pizza? You have more than 16 people, first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Um, but so you don't actually have to do that. It doesn't have to be money. And my example about work orders and stuff like that, that's stuff that's already in the budget. So
Right.
you're going to, whatever. So you don't always have to spend the money just because you have the budget, you know? This is like, you know, irresponsible spending 101, right? Just because I like have 20 bucks to blow at the mall doesn't, you know what? I can just put it back in my wallet. I don't need to spend it. I can leave the mall. Um, but second, if they really want to do a video, like if someone's like, no, we're doing a video because, we're committed to this idea. I think that the video needs to be with someone who can be really candid and
Yeah.
like real and come across as authentic. And I would say that they need to have an idea of what they're going to say on camera, but they can't have a script.
Yeah.
Like they cannot have a script. They cannot be reading, because if you're going to read for a prompt for a video, just send an email with a newsletter that
Hmm.
says thank you. Why would you read from a prompt?
Yeah.
This isn't an audio book. I don't need the audio version of a newsletter, which is what you're doing. I mean, I would argue that for all videos that we're talking about. If it is an executive reading from a thing just on video, why? I need to see their face for what? Are they cute? Like, why do I need to see their face? They're probably not cute. I mean, um, but so, but it's like there's no reason for them to be on video because here's the thing. If you're thinking the video adds some credibility
Hmm.
to the thank you, it adds some realness, it adds a human. The thing though is only if you get the right human to do it.
Right.
Only if you get the most charismatic, real human. And I would argue, not the CEO, maybe like a VP, maybe it could be really anyone. Please, not someone in HR. Like, if you're going to thank stores, it needs to be someone in the direct store channel.
Right.
So, regional VP, someone, a good number of stores have met that person, and then they need to know that that thank you is sincere because
Mhm.
they've met that person and know that that is how that person communicates. Because otherwise, you just spent $20,000 to hurt morale.
Right.
Because they think, if they think it's fake, if they think, or if it's someone they've met and they're like, that person doesn't give a crap what we do. And that's
Hmm.
them just because they're just trying to become president. This VP is trying to become president. So that's why he's doing this. Because every time he's in my store, he's a jerk. Well, now you spent $20,000 to actually make people go from being like, wow, we did a great job. And then maybe they were internally celebrating to like, not this, not this, blowhard again. You need someone who the teams are really gonna, and I would actually argue maybe, and I'm just off the cuff here, maybe it's actually someone lower than that. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
district manager. Maybe it's a store manager who's like, hey guys, we did this and that's incredible. I've been with X brand for 20 years. We've never achieved this metric. And
Right.
and guys, you know how hard our job is and how many days it can feel like we're not getting anywhere. We're not changing the world or doing anything, but this is a result that matters, that really impacts whatever it impacts. And we should be proud. And you know, take a moment with yourself and your team, whatever the case they may be. That video might actually land. That's worth the 20 grand. Because again, if I've met that peer and I know that that peer is sincere and not
Right.
just trying to become a district manager, I mean, those are the weird things you have to consider, though, right? Which means you also have to be a business that is attuned with sort of like the internal politics and almost like relational things that are happening at different levels, so you can understand, is the person we're choosing to do this the right messenger,
Right.
and then are they going to be looked at with reverence? I can think back to every company I've ever worked for. Let's say it is a store manager. I can think of every district I've ever been in, and I can think of one store manager who, if they were the one doing the video, I'd be like, of course it's her, because she just wants them to think she's amazing. But there's
Mhm.
also another person in every district where I go, oh, that's interesting. Like, I mean, for
Mhm.
example, not to like make it about me. If I was in a video like that, I'm telling you right now, everyone who's ever met me is like, oh wow, we should really appreciate this. Um, Only because I am known to like ask questions and like get curious and be like, is this really the right thing? And I'm very vocal about it. So when I celebrate a company internally, oftentimes peers look at me like, oh, you really think this is great? And I'm like, yes. And
Right.
here's why. Like, I know I'm a skeptic sometimes, but this is important stuff. So it does, the messenger matters.
Yeah. So let's say it's a great point, and it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Like, I will say though, if you are a corporate leader and you're not great at making videos yet, it does take reps.
Hmm.
So like, make them for yourself. Put out some awkward ones. Like get in front of the like take some time to get in front of the camera because you can get better at it. So I just want to like I don't want people to think, watch their first attempt at trying to record a very natural video and be like, oh, no, I guess I'm not that person.
Hmm.
You can get there. It is a muscle you can work. Um, if you have the right messenger, right? So, like someone who is believable because of their role or because of their status in the company, whatever that is, does a video help you as a store manager as opposed to an email? Because let's say you can throw a QR code up in the break room, and now all of your employees, regardless of when they start, can watch it without having like a chat in with you or a huddle with you.
I mean, I definitely think there's a more a better likelihood that people watch a video as opposed to read an email. So
Yeah.
there is
Well,
that.
so many store employees don't have email, like work
I mean,
emails.
which means I guess I'm thinking like printing it out and posting it versus
Right.
they're gonna skim it. Um,
Hmm.
because again, unless there's like a monetary reward hidden in that email, they're not gonna. But if there's a video, they'll probably watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that, if we're asking about believability, whether there's ROI, return on investment, on these very pricey, very time consuming videos that have a lot of stakeholders involved and weighing in and signing off, and there's probably like V13 floating around for approval. Belief is built through relevance and authenticity, not production value.
Mhm.
I think that's what I'm hearing most. And it's especially, I work with a lot of corporate teams who are like, oh, well, maybe I can, get in touch with our marketing department or some sort of AV team, or we'll hire a consultant. I'm like, guys, we are all so used to watching these videos like on our phone. That does not, in some ways, I actually think that makes them more credible.
Mhm. Well, and I also think just it's funny. Retail is not. This is such an interesting thing. The problem is that like once you get into the people part of a business, like retail is,
Mhm.
now you can't do that highly produced video because that's not how our day to day operates. You
Mhm.
can't do that with educational videos, culture videos, customer service videos for the love of God, because we don't, hi, welcome in. Like, we don't talk like that. And so
Mhm.
the training videos shouldn't look like that. And in order to do that, you have to like, you almost have to have people who can do improv a little bit. Because that's what retail is every day. Retail is an improv activity every single day you're on the floor. It is yes and.
Mhm.
Um, it's not a formula. And the more you try to make it a formula, the worse service gets, the worse culture gets. And that's why those videos don't land because it's like they're an SNL sketch of what it's like to work in retail. I
Yeah.
mean, hell, look at their like SNL sketches about like Target they used to do. Um, it's like they're making fun of it, but that's actually kind of what the training videos look like sometimes.
That's wild. Got it. So, if I were to sum up, real people who volunteer, who are comfortable doing this kind of thing, who have real stories, a real message to share, are going to be more, not persuasive, but believable, intriguing, engaging than senior titles. Specific stories that are store centric, much greater than this abstract vision of flawless operational excellence or whatever it is. Store context is key, right? So, not so much the corporate corridors. And then messy is better than polished talking points.
I would add one more that we didn't really talk about, but I think it should be thrown in there. It's okay if even the serious topics, but especially not serious topics, it's okay to put a little humor in some of these videos. In
Yeah.
fact, it would be better if you did because goofy things happen every day in retail and in the service industry. And I think companies don't want to, and I understand why, like in like say a customer service video, they don't want to like make fun of customers, right?
Right.
I do understand that, but customers do ask ask some wacky things sometimes. And throwing one of those things that's not really making fun of a client, but just like you may face this scenario that would make us all like laugh and be like, oh my God, the amount of times if I had $1. And then you give a training video that is a way to respond to what is a very wacky scenario.
Right.
you've just earned yourself a lot of credibility. One, because you put in humor, and two, because you've put in something that actually happens. Because when it comes to training videos on the floor, like one of my pet peeves is they act like every client wants the same level of service. It's just our job to, hi, welcome in. I see
Mhm.
you're touching those khakis. Are you shopping for you or someone else? Oh, you're shopping for someone else. Oh my God. So they like khaki, like, and they make it seem like every customer is just going to play the improv game with you, and they're
Right.
not. Sometimes they stonewall you. Sometimes they throw you for a loop and they're like, well, I used to buy these khakis, but now the quality sucks. So I'm just making sure that, nope, it still feels like they suck. You didn't go back to the old ones. And I'm not saying you need to make that video, but if you did, I'm watching it. Because how do I respond to that? Teach me. If customer service is so easy, please make a video. And so I just don't get why we're not doing more of that. And again, I would watch those videos. I'd be like, ooh, we're sitting down with popcorn and they came out with a new training videos. Because quite frankly, that's kind of what I did at Lush. If there was a new training video, we were like fighting over who got to watch it first.
That's amazing. At some point, I would love to unpack more of what was in those videos. I don't know if that's allowed or not, but I'm so intrigued. We've covered a lot of, I think, specific examples. Anything that needs to be said that we haven't already brought up?
Yeah, I wanna add that there are two areas that I can think of that high production value matter, or at least are worth. They have some ROI. One is very serious, and again, America's going to America. Um, Old Navy's active shooter video was very high production value, and
Mhm.
why I think that was important. Two things: it made people take those threats very seriously, and two, it didn't make light of what is a very serious problem in this country.
Right.
And I've seen active shooter videos that are like little cartoon things that are like, you know, when you are in a situation, and it's like a stop animation, like, you know, uh,
Ooh.
and so it doesn't. But because we've seen so many of them, I guess people are like not even paying attention to that. But Old Navy's was so good, it made you stop and pause. It was actually slightly scary. I'm not gonna lie, um, like because one, the production was so good, and two, it like really, it didn't shy away from the reality, which is what I think why it was so effective.
Right.
And I'll just say a little bit because I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but it had like literally like video footage of like a shooter getting out of their car with a duffel bag with like a gun in it, and then like heading into a mall, and then all these happy families in the mall. It was literally like a movie production, and it
Wow.
really made you like be like, wow, this is okay. Crap, I need to like pay attention. So that's number one. So anything like super serious like that, go for it. Number two, and this is actually something I was thinking about before we recorded, and my husband last night was it was the one thing he said was product education videos are worth the investment. So
Wow.
not training videos, but like product, like we're launching a new product and here's all that it entails. And his example was when he worked at Lucky Brand, and they went over like denim fits and fabrications and weaves, in the product, and then had some people try it on in the video and show how it fits and stretches and whatever. Um,
Mm.
but I was thinking like I've worked in places with like cosmetics and different things where they go over ingredients and textures. And so like, and I would agree, like those videos are really helpful to really understand, especially before you get the product in your hand.
Mm.
Um, and again, those videos aren't really like, there's not a lot of script or fake because it usually is someone who's very excited about the product or developed the product. Old Navy had very similar things for their like denim fabrication videos. Like when they launched a new, this one has this much stretch and this one has no stretch, and they walked you through it. It usually was someone who was like an expert in that product.
Mhm.
And I don't think that they needed much scripting. So all of that to say, there are places where like your high production value videos are worth it, but they're they probably have nothing to do with anyone in the C-suite or that high up. They don't need to be in. If they so badly want to be in a high production video, they are more than welcome to resign effective immediately of their position, move to LA, and they can be in the next progressive commercial. Um, because, if that's really what they want to do, then go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like that's another opportunity, the product video, which is a great example. Another opportunity for passion to come through,
Hmm.
which, yeah, again, speaks to that like who is the messenger.
And not to like belabor the point or take us on a 4-hour journey about this, but that's also the passion thing has always been interesting to me because I'm like, I know there are people excited about this in the company. Why did you put the person behind the camera who was reading something about it when I know there's some like, because even not, I don't want a video about the new registers. I don't. But
Yeah.
if you're going to make one, there's some weird, nerdy guy or girl in the office who's like, and the user interface, I spent many hours at night going through and then tweaking it. And then I went into the store in San Jose, California and talked to the employees there. And they told me they hate it when you have this, this, and this. So I fixed it. Like, you give me
Right.
that weirdo in a video, I'm watching. And I
Yeah.
might even get excited along with him because I'm like, oh, you did all these things for us. That's so cool. But instead, it's like you grab the most boring person you could find. And then they're like, and the new user interface is great. It helps you with customers. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a perfect place to leave it unless you have any final thoughts.
No, I think I've had all my final thoughts.
Amazing. Thanks as always, Matt.
Thank you.
You're listening to Dear Corporate, Love Stores.